Anna had learned early in life that laughter could cut deeper than silence, and when she walked into the storage yard that morning she felt it again pressing against her back like heat from the sun. The rusty shipping container stood alone near the fence, its paint peeled, its metal bent, and its surface scarred by years of neglect. People nearby stopped what they were doing and watched her. Some whispered, while others laughed openly because no one believed a container like that could hold anything of value. Anna did not look at them because she had already made her choice, and once she made a choice she carried it through, even if it meant standing alone. She remembered how the auctioneer barely looked up when she placed her bid, and how quickly the hammer fell as if the container itself was unwanted. She felt something strange as she stood there now, not fear, but a quiet pull that told her she was exactly where she needed to be. The town had always treated Anna as someone invisible, a woman who worked hard, spoke little, and kept her dreams folded deep inside. She lived in a small rented house near the edge of town where the nights were quiet, and the days passed slowly. She worked long hours fixing tools, cleaning parts, and lifting things heavier than people expected her to lift. She saved money, carefully skipping small comforts because she believed someday it would matter. When the notice for the abandoned container appeared on a board near the market, she felt that same pull again, something she could not explain to anyone. Even if she tried, it was not curiosity alone, and it was not hope either. It was more like recognition, as if part of her had been waiting for that exact moment. And when others dismissed the container as useless scrap, she saw it differently, like a locked door that had been waiting patiently. On the day she returned with the key, the laughter grew louder. A few men leaned against their vehicles, shaking their heads. Someone joked that she would regret wasting her money. Another said she should have bought furniture instead. Anna heard every word, but none of them stopped her. She walked slowly toward the container, feeling the gravel shift under her shoes. The container looked worse up close, its hinges stiff, its doors uneven, and its lock thick with rust. She paused for a moment, placing her hand against the cold metal, and in that moment memories rushed through her of every time she had been told she was wrong, too quiet, too careful, too hopeful. She pushed those memories aside, took a breath, and placed the key into the lock. Her hands shook not from fear, but from the weight of possibility. The lock resisted, then turned with a deep sound that echoed across the yard, and for the first time the laughter faded into silence. As the doors began to open, the air inside escaped, carrying the smell of dust, metal, and age. Sunlight slipped through the narrow gap, revealing darkness beyond, and Anna felt her chest tighten. She expected emptiness, broken scraps, or nothing at all, but what she saw instead made her freeze. Shape stood inside, covered carefully with thick cloth, stacked in a way that showed intention and patience. This was not a dumping place, this was storage planned by someone who wanted these things protected. The crowd moved closer, drawn in by the sudden change in her posture. Anna stepped inside slowly, her footsteps soft against the metal floor. She reached out and touched the cloth, feeling something solid beneath it. Her heart beat louder with every second, because she knew now that whatever was inside had been hidden, not abandoned, and the idea sent a quiet thrill through her that she could not ignore. She did not pull the cloth away, yet she stood there breathing slowly, listening to the quiet behind her. The people who had laughed moments ago now watched without speaking. Anna felt the weight of their eyes, but for once it did not matter. The container felt separate from the world outside, like a space suspended in time. She understood then that this moment was not about proving anyone wrong, it was about discovery, about something meant to be found by someone willing to listen to that inner pull. She bent down and gripped the edge of the cloth, ready to uncover the truth, whatever it might be, unaware that this single choice would ripple outward, changing her life, and the lives of everyone who once stood laughing behind her. Anna stood inside the container longer than she realized as the weight of silence pressed around her, and the people outside waited without speaking. The cloth before her moved slightly as air slipped through the open doors, and she finally reached forward, lifting one corner, carefully revealing the edge of a wooden crate beneath it. The wood was old, but strong, marked with scratches that told stories of travel and time. Her breath slowed as she uncovered more of it, noticing how carefully it had been placed and secured. This was not random storage, but a deliberate act carried out by someone who cared deeply about what was inside. Her fingers traced the grain of the wood as she felt a strange respect for the unknown hands that had sealed it years ago. She pulled the cloth away fully, and revealed several crates stacked with precision, each one sealed and marked with faded writing that time had nearly erased. Anna crouched down, reading what she could make out, dates, names, and places that meant little to her yet felt heavy with importance. The crowd behind her murmured, quietly stepping closer, but still keeping distance, as if afraid to disturb something sacred. Anna lifted herself and moved deeper into the container, uncovering more crates, all arranged in the same careful manner. Her mind raced with questions. Why would someone hide these things here? Why leave them untouched for so long? And why did she feel like she was meant to be the one standing there now? Choosing one crate, she worked the lid open slowly, the wood resisting before finally giving way with a low sound inside. She found stacks of thick journals bound in worn leather, their covers cracked, but protected from decay. She lifted one gently, opening it, and finding pages filled with careful handwriting, line after line of thoughts, plans, and observations, written with purpose. Her eyes moved quickly across the words, realizing these were not personal notes but records, detailed descriptions of meetings, decisions, and actions that shaped places and people beyond this small town. Anna felt a chill run through her as understanding began to form. This was knowledge hidden away, perhaps because it was too powerful, too revealing to be left in the open. As she read, the crowd faded from her awareness, the voices behind her became distant, and the world narrowed to the words on the page. She saw names connected to buildings she passed, everyday businesses that still stood strong, and others that had vanished without explanation. The journal spoke of choices made quietly, of paths redirected, and of consequences that others never saw. Anna closed the journal slowly, her hands no longer shaking but steady with resolve. She knew then that this discovery was not meant for profit or attention, but for truth, something deeper than the laughter that had greeted her earlier. The container had not been abandoned, it had been waiting. Someone behind her asked what she had found, but Anna did not answer right away. She stood and looked back at the open doors, at the people who now watched her with uncertainty instead of mockery. She realized that the moment she spoke, everything would change, and that silence still gave her control. She stepped out of the container carrying one journal close to her chest, and told them it was not trash, and not scrap, and not something to be taken lightly. Her voice was calm and clear, and it carried farther than she expected. The crowd shifted uneasily, sensing the weight of her words, and for the first time Anna was not the one being judged, she was the one holding the truth, and deciding what would come next. Anna carried the journals home as the evening light faded behind her, and the town felt different with every step she took. People watched her from windows and doorways, whispering in low voices as if the air itself had changed. She locked her door carefully, and placed the journals on the table one by one, feeling their weight not just in her hands but in her chest. She knew sleep would not come until she understood what she had found, so she made tea, sat down, and opened the first journal again. Reading slowly, this time letting each word settle, she learned that the writer had planned everything carefully, not just businesses, but lives, paths, and futures shaped quietly without permission. She felt anger rise, but also clarity, because these pages explained pain the town had never understood. As the night deepened, Anna read about hidden agreements and choices made behind closed doors. She read about people who had worked hard only to lose everything without knowing why, and families who were pushed aside so others could rise higher. The journal spoke of control not through force but through silence and patience. She noticed how often the writer mentioned waiting, trusting that truth would survive even if he did not. Anna paused often to breathe, steadying herself, as she realized the man who wrote these words knew this day would come. He had believed someone would open the container without greed or fear. She felt a strange connection to him, not admiration, but understanding, because she too knew what it meant to wait quietly while others laughed. Near dawn, Anna found a final envelope tucked between the last pages. Her hands slowed as she opened it, sensing its importance. Inside was a letter written clearly and calmly, addressed to the one who would find the container. The writer explained that he had hidden the journals to protect truth from being destroyed. He wrote that power fades, but records remain, and that honesty finds its way into light when time is right. Anna felt tears gather but did not let them fall. She understood now that this was not only about exposing the past but about giving people their story back. She folded the letter carefully, knowing that once shared it would change everything, and that there would be no turning back. When morning came, Anna did not hesitate. She contacted Ben, a quiet reporter known for listening more than speaking. When he arrived, she showed him the journals without drama, letting the words speak for themselves. His face changed as he read, disbelief giving way to focus, and then to concern. Together they cross-checked names, places, and events, confirming every detail with records still available. The truth aligned too well to deny. Ben asked her why she trusted him, and she answered simply that truth needed witnesses. They worked until evening, knowing that once the story was told it could never be buried again, and as Anna watched the sun set, she felt no fear, only certainty that the laughter had ended, and that something far stronger had taken its place. The story reached the town like a slow-moving wave, and once it touched the first home, it did not stop. People gathered in small groups, reading and listening as the words from the journal spread through quiet conversations and tense faces. Anna stayed inside during the first days, watching from her window as strangers came and went, asking questions and searching for meaning. The past that had once felt distant now stood in front of everyone, asking to be seen. Many people felt anger while others felt Relief because their unanswered struggles finally had names and reasons. Anna felt the weight of it all pressing on her chest, but she did not step back because she understood that truth often arrived heavy and uncomfortable before it brought balance. Officials began to arrive, asking to see the journals, and Anna insisted that everything be handled openly. Ben stood beside her during every meeting, taking notes and recording each exchange, ensuring nothing slipped back into silence. The tone of the town changed as confidence shifted away from those who once controlled every decision. Quietly, people who had been praised for years now avoided attention, while workers and families found their voices growing stronger. Anna watched this shift with careful eyes, knowing that exposure alone was not enough. Understanding had to follow. She spoke when needed and stayed silent when listening mattered more, because this moment belonged to everyone, not just her. As days turned into weeks, the rusty shipping container became a symbol. Visitors traveled from nearby places to see it standing untouched in the yard, its damaged surface telling a story without words. Anna returned there one evening, when the place was empty, walking slowly around it, remembering the laughter that once echoed there. She felt no bitterness, only calm, because the same place that held doubt had released truth. She rested her hand against the metal, feeling its cold strength, and realized that sometimes the most overlooked things carry the greatest weight simply because no one expects them to matter. Ben asked Anna one night if she ever wished she had never opened the container, and she looked at him with steady eyes before answering. She said, "Some things wait for the right moment, and some people wait for the right reason." The container had waited, and so had she. The truth inside it was never meant to stay hidden forever. It only needed someone willing to stand still long enough to hear it. And as the town slowly rebuilt its understanding, Anna knew the laughter had transformed into something far more powerful, awareness, and that no matter what followed, the silence had been broken for good. Anna woke one morning to a quiet town that felt steadier than before. The noise of fear and confusion had faded, and in its place stood careful thought. People walked slower and spoke more openly, as if learning a new rhythm. The journals were now protected and shared, so no single voice could silence them again. Anna spent her days helping organize the records and guiding visitors who wanted to understand. She did not seek praise and she did not avoid responsibility, because both felt unnecessary. What mattered was that the truth now belonged to everyone, and not to shadows. In that calm she felt a strength she had never known but had always carried. The shipping container was moved with care and placed where all could see it. No repairs were made because its scars told the story better than words ever could. People stood before it in silence, imagining the moment it first opened. Children listened as adults explained how small choices can change many lives. Anna often watched from a distance, never stepping into the center of attention. She understood that her role was not to shine, but to open the door. The container had been the beginning, not the ending of the journey. And its presence reminded everyone that value is not always loud or polished. Ben continued to write, but his stories changed as well. They were no longer about exposure alone but about rebuilding trust. He often spoke with Anna, sharing thoughts during long walks through the town. They talked about patience, courage, and the cost of staying silent for too long. Anna shared that she once believed waiting meant weakness but now knew it meant strength. Together they watched the town grow more honest with itself day by day. There were still challenges and disagreements, but none were hidden anymore. That openness felt like a victory greater than any headline. Months passed and life settled into a steady flow. Anna returned to the yard one last time, standing where the laughter once lived. She closed her eyes and remembered how it felt to be underestimated. That memory no longer hurt because it had shaped her resolve. She understood now that belief in oneself is often quiet and private. When she turned away, she did not look back because the past was complete. The truth had found its place, and so had she. And the town would never laugh the same way again.